Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Downer, and welcome to Do You Want Cheap Insurance or to Be Insured? This is brought to you by Absolute Insurance Agency. I am here with Jeff Eastfold, the president, founder, CEO, and janitor of the company, and also Dan Bell, his trusty vice president, and his right-hand man. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
Good.
Great. How are you?
I couldn't be happier. If I were twins, going to learn a little more about insurance. See where else I'm messing up. That's kind of where these go. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. So it's always informative and good to know.
Absolutely.
So getting ready for the state fair here in Iowa, and we're gearing up. And I'm ready to learn a little bit about insurance before we go have some fun later on this week. So, guys, we'll jump right into this. So today, what we're going to be covering is what's the best local insurance agency for bundling home and auto in West Des Moines. So I guess the core question is going to be, who is the best local insurance agency for bundling home and auto in West Des Moines? So when someone in West Des Moines wants home and auto with one agency, who should they call and why?
Well, clearly, I think they should call Absolute Insurance Agency because we're the best. No, also because we're an independent agent that takes the opportunity to get to know our clients, their needs, and put together a comprehensive plan amongst all of our different carriers to see what's going to be the best, most affordable option for them.
Very good. So how do the other guys do it? I mean, just kind of give me a little breakdown of, what kind of sets you apart a little bit from everybody else.
I think what sets us apart is that we're not transactional. We're not order takers. What we want to do is get to know the client and see what's going to work best for them and their needs. And sometimes we can explore the needs and determine that they have additional realms that need to be covered that they don't have currently covered.
Okay.
Or that they have something that possibly is never going to happen to them and they have insurance on it. So they're spending money on something that doesn't need to exist.
No, that makes complete sense. Jeff, you got something to add to that?
Yeah, we find, just doing a comprehensive review, there's always coverage that, like service lines of coverage that's newer. So we try to, make recommendations on that. But, we'll find people have, they've had their homeowners policy for 10, 15 years. They still have jewelry that they've sold or given away, don't have anymore. Endorsements that, they might be paying $200-300 for that, really no need to have. So.
Yeah, you forgot that Rolex on vacation in Las Vegas and you're still insuring it. So.
Yep, absolutely.
Or just auto
Oh,
insurance.
go ahead.
They still have their kids on there. I mean, their kids, 27 years old, moved out however long ago, they're still being rated on the policy. There's all kinds of, mistakes that we find.
Gotcha. No, that makes complete sense. What does bundling actually save a West Des Moines household?
30% probably. I mean, depends. I mean, that
kind of dive into that and explain what bundling is and how it can save.
So bundling would be having your auto and home insurance with the same insurance carrier. So that can be a discount. I mean, like I said, it could be up to 30% off of each policy.
Oh, of each policy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, off each policy. There's other possible benefits to bundling. Like, for instance, a lot of carriers, when you bundle the auto and home together, will have a common cause of loss deductible for scenarios where, let's say, there's a hail event and both the vehicles and the house are damaged. Then there'd be the highest of the deductibles would apply to the entire loss, as opposed to having individual deductibles for the vehicle and the house itself.
So I'm assuming, as far as bundling goes, that can include your home, obviously, and your auto, but like RVs, boats. Can you get into a little bit of that? I mean, the total bundling process.
Yeah, I mean, you can add all of those things into the bundle: auto, home, umbrella, motorcycles, boats, all the toy scenarios. And there's different ways to approach the toys as well, either by adding them directly to a homeowner's product with some limitations, or by doing them on their own separate policy, which expands coverage in most respects. And they'll
So
all
I
benefit from those discounts. And a lot of the times they're cumulative discounts. They just keep, piling on top of each other.
You bet. And I'm assuming that you guys take the time to go over all the different options and scenarios with someone so that they know whether, if, let's just say, because I have some friends who have pretty much every toy under the sun. And I'm sure that you would love to sit down and take time with them to say, hey, if we put them all here, or if we do these here and this over here. I'm assuming you guys go through all those scenarios with people.
Yeah, we do, because there's different approaches to it. Like you get into some liability constraints off the homeowners on some of those toys based on the carrier. So knowing the ins and outs of the carrier is very important. And sometimes it makes sense to have those things kind of split off. Sometimes it makes sense to bundle them up and get those discounts. So just kind of depends.
Yeah. Especially with toys,
Yeah.
I mean, there's carriers that have, special coverages that the homeowner's policy might not have. So, I mean, it's, a boat policy that's really drilled down to boat owners or motorcycles or RVs, just extra coverages that you wouldn't think that you'd need until obviously you have a claim.
Right. And that's what's nice about going to see Absolute Insurance Agency, is the fact that you represent several different insurance lines and carriers, so that if you go to one specific insurance carrier, I'm not going to name any one specific, but if you are a XYZ insurance carrier, you are that agent. That's all you can sell, and you might not be getting the best option because that agent is going to try and sell you all that one company stuff. Am I on track with that or not?
Yeah, that's all they can do in those scenarios. Those are called captive agents, and they only have the ability to represent one company, one carrier, and their products. And thankfully, we're independent. We represent many different companies that have different appetites and niches, and that independence is to the benefit of our client.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting. So, you go to your one agent who just has one guy, he's going to push all those one products on you, and that might not be the best for your scenario.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely round peg in a square hole kind of thing.
Well,
Yeah, no, that makes,
they can't really affect pricing any more than just decreasing coverage or increasing deductibles, because they only have one choice, where
yes,
we're able to go through multiple companies. So when
Right.
we do our quotes, we might do, auto and home as a package, auto by itself, home by itself, toys part of the package, toys alone. So, I mean, it gets complex. And then we also, good amount of our clients are, upper income. So umbrella policies are always important. But, so when we do the quotes, I mean, it'll take a while, just because it's not just, here's what you get.
So when you were talking about that, you said you might have auto and home and separate. Let me ask you this: is bundling always the right solution?
No.
It's
No.
not.
Walk us through that a little bit.
I mean, just, you could have two companies that are just, one's more competitive on home, carrier A, and then carrier B might be just crazy hot on auto. So, it doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah, there's a lot of different reasons why it might not work out, like Jeff is alluding to there. And some of it could be, let's say you have youthful operators, and some carriers are going to be, they're going to rate higher for youthful operators. You have, let's say, a scenario where had the roof been brand new, then yes, going with carrier A would make the most sense for bundling. But since the roof is at that 20-year point, that's no longer an option. So now we're going to have to split things apart and see what's going to be the best scenario. But yeah, it just depends on your situation. And the bottom line is what the bottom line is. How much are you spending in total?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people get hung up on, I'll hear this, well, do we have this discount? Because the other, company ABC had these discounts. Like, well, they don't have those discounts. However, you're paying substantially less one way or the other. So the bottom line kind of matters the most.
Yeah, as obviously a home and auto owner, two things matter to me. Number one, how much money do I have to give you every month or 6 months or year, however often I pay it? And what's my coverage?
Right.
Those are really the only two things that matter to me. I don't care if the name of the insurance company is Sassafras. If it's good, it's good. I mean, you can throw all the commercials on TV you want and make them look cute and funny. But if I'm not covered at the end of the day and I'm spending too much, then I none of that stuff matters. So I like the fact that you guys go through, each insurance company, and find the best for what people is. So let's just say I am out in West Des Moines. What's specific about insuring a home in West Des Moines, like compared to anywhere else? Are there any specifics in West Des Moines that you need to consider compared to anywhere else, like in Iowa? Or
Well, Iowa in particular is turned into it's a wind hail state, right? So that's going to be your primary cause of loss, is most likely going to be wind and hail. And when you get into the suburbs of Des Moines, you get into, for whatever reason, higher water tables. So you do run into water backup scenarios quite a bit more in those areas too. So something to be concerned about, something to make sure you're insured for. Right. So, but in particular to West Des Moines, hail does seem to hit. It seems to hit a couple different locations in this area, more so than other locations. West Des Moines, Grimes, Johnston, Ankeny, they seem to get hail quite a bit. So
yeah, I had a car totaled out in a hailstorm like 3 years ago out in West Des Moines.
Yeah, that particular event was devastating. Happened about 4:30 on a Friday.
Yep.
If I'm remembering right, I think it was August 19th. We're almost nearing the anniversary.
3 years, yeah, and I have video of literally small baseball. I mean, they were pretty good size. They were racquetball sized pieces of ice coming down, just destroying the glass roof on my car. And they said $31,000 worth of damage on a $24,000 car.
That's bad math.
Yeah, so they totaled it. They recommended I did not get that fixed.
Yeah, that was a tremendous storm. I was actually stuck on the interstate because everyone stopped. Anyone who could stopped underneath the overpasses. But I was in Des Moines, so it was a smaller hail at that point, approaching the West Des Moines corridor there. But yeah, that was wild.
Yes, that storm, like I said, I literally have video of my car just getting absolutely annihilated. So that was awesome.
But as you get into that scenario, you get into that hail event, that wind event, and you get into carriers' adjustments to how they're handling that situation. So we like to review the concept of actual cash value, replacement costs, and roof payment schedules and things like that, and how the policy will respond over time to wind and hail events. Because again, Iowa's now, it's always had wind and hail, but it does appear that the events have become more consistent and more damaging than before. Severity has increased.
Agreed. So let's say I give you a call and I'm ready. I've made the right choice. And I said, hey, I'm going to call the guys over at Absolute. And so what does the bundling quote process look like at your agency?
So as you give us a call and we take begin getting your personal information, that's going to be primary. We're going to need some personal information. We'll also set you into our management system, which will then send out an email that will collect or send you a link to send us over copies of your declaration pages of your current plans. And if the carrier doesn't have that option, then usually we will like to ask to see that information so that we can make sure that we know what coverage you had, and so on and so forth, know what we're up against and what we can fix. And then we broadcast that information across all of our carriers. And then from there, we get into doing the laser surgical analysis of your situation and what our carriers can do for you. What I do is I make a grid on a sheet of paper and literally go through pros and cons. And then, a lot of times we'll end up with a scenario where there'll be 2 or 3 carriers that are coming in very similar. And what we'll need to do is at that point, just provide that information to the client and then give them the differences between them, benefit, con, and have an intelligent discussion about what's going to be the best option for them. So this, again, as you can tell, this process isn't something that's done in 10 minutes.
So let's say that I gave you a call today and I'm just your average Joe, a couple cars and a house. What kind of time frame am I looking at from when I give you that first call? Say that I'm on it and I get you my deck pages pretty quickly. How long until I can expect a call back from you saying, hey, I got some stuff for you to look over?
Same day, next day.
Yeah.
Oh, that quick.
Yeah. Especially when it's easier, where there's not, claim issues, driving record issues, underwriting issues. I mean, then it's pretty easy to get through those. It's just when things get a little bit more complicated, that's where it takes a little longer.
A day or two, just to kind of sift through some stuff.
Yeah.
So it should never take longer than a week, is what you're saying.
No.
For the most part.
For the most part, unless you do run into real, they have older roof, claims, out in the country, wood burning stoves.
Yep.
Different aspects like that, swimming pool. You add these things, you add all that stuff together, you can run into a scenario where, it takes a little bit of time to find the best situation for them. So
perfect. Sounds like you guys are on top of it. Thanks again, guys. I know that I know the reason why we're talking about this is, everybody watches TV, everybody hears about bundle, and you guys, I like the fact that you cleared up that, it's a great idea and it can save you money, but not always. Right. So the fact that you guys, kind of clear that up, I love that. And I love the fact that you represent different insurance agents so that you just don't call your one agent and just say bundle, because that's what everybody says to do. So I like the fact that you take the consumer first approach and you care about your clients and say, hey guys, this is an option, but maybe not your best option.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Well, I look forward to our next talk. It's always fun to learn what I'm doing right and wrong about my insurance. Today wasn't so bad, but I'm sure that you guys will get me on something here pretty soon.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yep.
All right, guys, you have a terrific afternoon. I look forward to our next episode.
All right. Bye.